Welcome to the Bend Like Bamboo podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Campbell, kinesiologist, resilience coach, and author who knows what it feels like when your body betrays you or burnout nearly breaks you. This podcast is for those healing from chronic conditions and autoimmune disease, and also for leaders navigating burnout and overwhelm. You're about to hear real stories of transformation, the messy middle, the breakthrough moments, the science, and practical tools that actually work. Because resilience isn't about being unbreakable, it's about learning to bend without breaking. Let's dive in. Hi, Eli. Welcome to the Bend Like Bamboo podcast. I'm so excited to chat to you today.
Great to be here, Amanda. Nice to see you.
Now, where are you coming from? Whereabouts are you?
Broadcasting from Toronto, Canada, in my son's bedroom.
Love it. Love it. And we're here in Melbourne, Australia, and I really appreciate your time today. And, I met you last year, and I love your work and I love your book. And we're going to talk about, because of my background, there we go.
Here, I'll hold it up. There you go. Yeah, who knows? It's offline now. It's great. There you go.
Offline now, we're going to talk all about it, your story, your amazing career. May I introduce you properly?
Please, please.
So I'm so excited to introduce today's guest, Eli Singer. Eli is a coach, CEO, and author who helps people to find digital balance in our always connected world. And his story is absolutely fascinating. Eli's career spans everything from bootstrapping and exiting Intrinsic, one of North America's first social media agencies, to leading high impact campaigns for iconic brands like Google, Coca-Cola, Ford, and MoMA. He has published thought leadership in Harvard Business Review, but here's where his journey gets really interesting. As an adult, Eli discovered that his creative strengths and relentless drive were fueled in part by ADHD. And there's a beautiful irony here. The person who helped to build the social media world is now helping people to disconnect from it in healthy ways. And what once seemed like a challenge turned into an opportunity as Eli learned to harness his neurodivergence. Now, as an ICF trained coach, he mentors neurodivergent professionals, particularly those with ADHD, who are navigating high pressure environments. At Offline.now, Eli helps people to understand their addictive relationship with technology, not through shame and judgment, but through practical tools and strategies that create sustainable change. Eli, welcome to the Bend Like Bamboo podcast. You're incredible.
Happy to be here. Boy, you make me sound fantastic. I'm just doing my thing, but let's see where this all goes.
Yeah, well, your thing is pretty cool, and your thing helps a lot of people. I have so many clients, as a resilience coach and kinesiologist, I see a lot of clients that struggle with neurodivergence and ADHD and how it affects their personal lives, how they feel within themselves, but also their performance at work. And that's what your
Mhm.
work has led to. And what an incredible journey.
Tell me where you'd like to start, and I'm happy to jump in.
Well, my first question for you is I'd love to talk about the irony about building the digital world and then helping people to disconnect. So there's such a compelling story in the irony of it. And you co-founded Intrinsic, one of North America's first social media agencies. And as I've just described, you've led campaigns for big brands like Google, Coca-Cola, Ford. And now you're bringing more awareness into a digital world that so many of us do struggle to disconnect from. And then as an adult, you discovering that you have ADHD. That helped, I'm sure, to explain a few things. But can you take us back to that moment of discovery? When did you realize the very tools and platforms that you used to create were also contributing to overwhelm for yourself and for others? And what made you pivot from building digital connection to helping people find digital balance?
Right. Well, I think it's like most things. Things happen slowly and then all at once. I mean, we might forget the original web from the late 90s and early 2000s. I was listening to Delight actually this morning, and from New York City, the in the age of communication. I'm like, wow, they used to call that the age of communication because people had email addresses and websites and they were able to talk to each other in ways that they never could before and connect
Yeah.
in areas of interest. And so that's what, really brought me into the web. And that was the early days of intrinsic and social media. It was building communities and blog strategies and bringing together people with like-minded interests and helping them learn
Yeah.
from one another and build something new. And that's what we were doing with nonprofit and large companies that were used to a broadcast world where, you could put something on TV and no one could ever talk back. So we
Mm.
really tried to act as translators to help people. And but as the web started to evolve, it changed from community building to attention harvesting. And it was, pretty clear, obviously from someone that knows the web that everything's ones and zeros, everything could be monitored and tracked. But it was when the major social networks started to come out and started to really collect that information at scale. And, along with people's interests and their areas of expertise and their friend networks and the topics that they want to be talking about and taking quizzes so they could be psychologically profiled, it became and then advertised to, having seen both sides of it, right? The consumer side, but also the business side, and seeing how the ad networks operated. It was just pretty clear that what was being assembled could be used in a way that was a little dark, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
And, you know, we got out of the agency in 2014, and I was happy to have that kind of closed because we
Yeah.
went from building community strategies to, you know, selling products online because we had a 30-person business that we had to keep everybody, we had to keep everybody paid. So we were just taking the projects and it just kind of felt like it lost its meaning. Um,
Totally. Totally.
really wanting to have a healthy relationship with tech was always important to me in the early days of the agency. I remember sitting in like our first office, like, working hard to try to make something happen. And I would be like on Foursquare or something and seeing other people I knew in the city, like checking in with, I'm checking into Coca-Cola's office. I'm checking in like
Mm.
all these brands and like, oh,
Yeah.
wow, they've got tons of business and I don't. And it made me feel terrible.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of those moments that I just decided, I'm going to do my own thing and beat to my drum and stay away from the FOMO. It just didn't feel healthy. Um, I guess that's a little bit of the story behind the irony, if that helps. I mean, we could
Yeah.
keep talking.
Absolutely. And do you think the next wave of AI technology is also going to take us to a whole new level? Because I love how you just described that. We went from the web and websites and emails and blogs, and it was a beautiful way to create connection and community, but also in a way where people could talk back. I love the way that you just described that. And that's when it was cool. That's when it was productive and amazing back then. And I wonder what that was like for you building your career from the very start. It would have been very exciting and
It
nourishing.
was very exciting. We were inventing.
Yeah.
And, it was really exciting building in Toronto because uh, we were a big enough city to have a lot of culture, a lot of art, a lot of diverse communities, but a small enough city that there wasn't like there were only a few of every type of person, and there was a lot of collaboration. There wasn't competition. So there was this new media community that was just building something new. I was like the blogger that went to biz school. Um, it was after the agency when I'd consulted for a bunch of years, decided to move into coaching,
Mm.
received my ADHD diagnosis myself. That helped frame things a little bit. Learning about how my brain operated was very helpful. Working with other founders, understanding how to support them, and other just in general, speaking a lot with therapists and coaches and social workers, and really just coming to understand that this relationship with devices was being seen across everything. Like you and I were speaking, you see it in people's physical bodies. Marriage counselors see it in the relationships. Parent coaches see it in the frustration. People that have anxiety or OCD and depression, it can be magnified. Nutritionists see it in body image issues with spending
Yeah.
with inspiration. And then there's LinkedIn FOMO, like online dating rejection, not to mention like online gambling, online shopping, pornography. All of these are
Mm.
being manifest in the conversations people are having with the coaches and therapists and counselors around them. But there wasn't so much of a vocabulary around how to um, for people to really talk to them, like to express to themselves what they were feeling and how to move on. And a lot of the information out there, um, like the screen apps that are rule based on how many hours a day you should use it. And if you
Yeah.
use it anymore, your brain's going to melt. Or
Yeah.
break up with your phone so it's binary. You're either using it or you're not.
Yeah.
And so the conversation, it seemed to me to be very absolutist.
Mm.
And people feel a lot of guilt and shame if they're not able to kind of achieve that goal that they want for themselves. And so I think with offline now, what we're trying to do is create a way for people to get into that conversation because they want to get into it, but without shame and without judgment so that they can achieve their own goals on their
What
own
do you,
terms.
yeah. Yeah. What do you think the difference is between someone with ADHD versus someone who does not, and they get overwhelmed or overconsumed in the digital world? How does it impact them differently?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll say that the general term that if you've met one person with ADHD, you've met one person with ADHD. I mean, and I'm certainly no neuroscientist. Um, People can have challenges with mood. People
Mm-hmm.
can have challenges ruminating or letting things go.
Yeah.
There's certainly people can get very excited about a certain task or an idea and their commitment to want to do it, but then that commitment can fall off pretty fast if they don't
Yeah.
have the processes in place. There's the dopamine angle of how the web can, the phones can deliver to the dopamine experience. Um, I think there's the relationships with friends, family, parents, kids, partners.
Yeah.
Um, if you have ADHD, you can have challenges with time management,
Yes.
getting your to-do list done, being
Yeah.
reliable to the people around you. Um, and it can get to points where it can express as a disability, as a
Yeah.
cognitive impairment.
Yeah.
For some people, medicine works. For some people, it doesn't, and it can be challenging for them to be the person that they want to be on medication. There are certain kinds of interventions that are universally helpful, like potentially working out, being physically active. So,
Yes.
there's like a whole tool set out there.
Yes.
Um, but I mean, I think it's really important for people to take the time to get to know how their own brain works
Yes.
and what works for them. Typically, the way the ADHD brain operates is it needs to be engaged. It requires stimulation, and
Yes.
it is very heavily attracted to curious tasks that are engaging. And so figuring out how to um, become more curious about the things that you want to be doing so that you
Yeah.
can get yourself more engaged in that like hyper focused state
Yes.
and really forgiving yourself and being gentle with yourself in the moments where it's just not working.
Exactly. I've got a wonderful colleague of mine who shares her struggles, and she's learning more and more to just be kind to herself on the times of days or particular days where she knows that she
Correct.
just can't perform, and instead of berating herself over it, we've been working on her And she has been working on just accepting that and loving herself despite that and reducing stress levels around, you know, and I don't have ADHD, but I certainly have particular days of my cycle and also having multiple sclerosis. And, you know, I'm
Hmm.
on monthly, on a medication that's monthly, and I know I'm totally out
Right.
and on the couch for like 2 days, maybe three.
Wow.
And so yeah, but that's nothing compared to some of the other injections I used to take where I was in bed for 3 weeks out of the month. Yeah, so
Yeah.
3 days,
Okay.
like it's a huge win. But yeah, it is 3 days. And it's really when you've got, my business is going so well, I'm super busy, all these opportunities, and I get frustrated over those 3 days lying down. But I have to reframe it and shift my mindset around it's an opportunity for me to just sit and reflect and just lie down.
Yeah, that's right. You just have to, you know, there's the expectations that others put on you and the expectations you put on yourself.
Mm,
And just understanding where that pressure is coming from
yeah.
might be one way to help, relieve some of the tension, but also changing your own expectations and like
Yes.
how you want to use the time. It's uh, so much of it's about routine, and maybe to bring it back to devices and phones a little bit is over the last couple of years, unintentionally, as these things have wormed their way into our lives, take a look at like people can take a look at their routines. Like, can I sit on the toilet? Like one used to go to the bathroom, maybe grab a book or a magazine. Many
Mm,
people will sit their washroom routine involves their phone. And it might be like a 30-minute bathroom break as opposed to like a 3-minute bathroom break, right?
yes.
And like going to bed
Yeah.
can involve spending time on a device, even if you're in bed with your partner.
Yeah.
Being on the couch after dinner, hanging out, being
Yeah.
at dinner, these phones, these devices have wormed their way in and become part of our lives.
Mm,
And unwinding them to get the connection you want, or to get that time back, or the
yeah.
mental space that you need to have,
Mm,
or just to like you said, not get that carpal, like not to get the physical pain in your hand from the
yeah.
scrolling, like you just
Yeah.
have to use it less.
Yeah, it's about balance, isn't it? And finding that balance
Hmm.
and and knowing, what type of personalities and conditions might make one more susceptible to becoming addicted to the digital world. And this is why I love this book. And I'm gonna, in a minute, we're gonna get to the four quadrants, but on what you just discussed on page 61, I just really loved reading this over the holidays. So thank you so much for sharing your book with
Oh,
me.
you got the list. 61, that was your part. That's one of my favorite parts of the book.
Yes. And so 100 ideas to
Nice.
try instead of scrolling. Sit by a window and do nothing for 5 minutes. Who knew that was a thing? Hum and sing through your favorite album from memory, start to finish.
That's my favorite one.
I just love these suggestions because they're just long lost, simple, things that
Yeah,
we people used to do. Like I was born in 1980 and I thankfully grew up, before the digital world took off. We were playing in the back garden with, with our mates and then coming back, for dinner and we were outside and we forget about, what kids are really going through now and reorganize a drawer or shelf, light a candle and sit with it. I mean, sometimes doing little things like that can bring an amazing moment of reflection that can literally change your life, but we just don't
that's right.
have those rituals anymore.
Yeah, I'm like really pleased that you locked into that part of the book. It's like probably my favorite part. It serves a purpose too. Most of the books out there, or the advice that you see around phone, says put it down and go for a walk. Put it down and pick up a book, right?
Yeah.
But not everybody likes to read.
Yes.
Some people live where it's minus 40 degrees
Yeah.
and they don't want to go outside,
Yeah.
or it's raining, or there's nowhere to go, or it's polluted.
Mm.
Like
Mm.
people need solutions and suggestions that fit their lives. So the
Yeah.
goal here was not to give people a list of things to do, but to rather get their creative juices flowing so that then, and at the same time, give them permission to come up with whatever they wanted that made sense for them.
Totally. Because the other one I love is wash dishes by hand and just let it be meditative, like
Yeah,
a meditation. Listen to a full album start to finish.
that's a good thing too.
Oh my God. Put music on and just stretch slowly.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, it was just kind of
I
like
love it. I mean, there's pages and pages of just incredible ideas. Repot a plant. Explore a secondhand shop. Just things that really,
there
bring
was the
joy.
reorganize your photo drawer for someone, I
Yes,
think. Sharpen pencils, like if you like to
yes,
color, that's great. Trace your hand and decorate it,
yes,
you know.
yes. Oh my God, flip a coin and decide what to do next.
Yeah, it's just there's like it was just a bit of a poetic nature of it, when you're on the scroll or when everything is kind of sent to you,
Yeah,
it's just nice to like give your brain the opportunity to be creative.
yeah, yeah.
I like that.
Create enough that you
Unplug an
can love
appliance
them.
you're not using
Yeah,
requires you to think about which ones am I going to do and why.
totally. And create a do nothing corner in your
Yeah,
home.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I love it.
One of the things that, maybe the ADHD, so you got to get creative about things. So, you know, and, and, so I was using this example the other day. You're someone that like you love to draw, but you haven't in a long time. You've always wanted to learn how to draw, but you're embarrassed and blah 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 blah. And you're always on your phone, on your couch. So then you just buy some pencils and put the book, and like a drawing book on the couch on the table in front of your couch. Sit on your phone. Sit on your phone as much as you want. But you know what? Maybe maybe take 1 minute to draw one thing, for just a sketch, and then put the book back down.
Mm,
And then just go back on your phone. And next time you're on the couch, do it again the next day.
yeah.
And then you might find after 3 or 4 times, like those drawing bouts, instead of being 1 minute long, they're like 4 or 5 minute longs.
Mm,
Maybe they're 20 minutes long.
mm,
you know, After like a month or two,
mm,
maybe you've got like a book with like 30 drawings in it, and you're like,
mm.
hey, I've really improved. Like I've now got a skill,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so you've kind of created an intervention
yeah,
around a habit without having to think too much about it around something you've wanted to do. And so those are the very like very hyper specific things that we're trying to get people to think about so that they can kind of achieve
yeah.
their goals.
It feels more achievable. Yeah, that inspires me to shift a little bit of a block I have around if you saw how many books are on the shelf next to me, a lot of them are unread. And I
Mm.
think there's a word for that when you buy lots of books and you haven't read them yet. But I've just got so many books I want to read and I love books and I've written my own book too. And I love books. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, put a small pile of books of the next ones that I want to read. And instead of it being a big task, like I wish I had a whole day to read my book, I'm just going to read a few pages and maybe I'll
Yeah.
make more time for then a chapter and it's going to feel more achievable.
Yeah. And make sure you got some bookmarks too, so you can come back to the ones right where you left off.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I love this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Eli, this is a resilience podcast. So I'd love to chat to you about what you believe resilience means, but you work specifically with neurodivergent professionals and particularly those with ADHD who are in high pressure environments. And I think it's really important here to discuss what resilience means for a neurodivergent brain in a world that's designed to exploit exactly how your brain works. The dopamine hits, the constant stimulation, and the difficulty with executive function. And for
Hmm.
so many of my listeners, whether they're managing chronic illness or health conditions or leading teams while in burnout, the always on digital world can be making us sick. Can you talk about what resilience means when you're neurodivergent and why the traditional advice of just put your phone away or use more willpower fundamentally can miss the point?
Okay, so there's a lot in that question. There's a lot going on here. Um, I think that I'm going to pick up on the willpower piece
Hmm.
because when it's just apply more willpower, it's like kind of a brute force, right? Like just work harder, work harder, work harder. It doesn't necessarily take the individual into account or work with your strengths.
Yeah.
Um, in the Offline.now matrix, which is the core element of the book, we have two questions around motivation and confidence that help identify four types of where you are when you want to change your phone habit journey. So that would be ready, overwhelmed, stuck, and unconcerned. We've had hundreds of people take the quiz online,
Hmm.
and 81% of people that have taken the quiz have been a four or above in motivation, and it's a 6 point scale. So, what we're taking away from the data is motivation is not the issue, it's confidence. And so, if you want to change your behavior around your device, for most people, they have the motivation. It's not
Mm.
about motivation and it's not about willpower, it's about confidence.
Okay.
So, if you are in the overwhelmed quadrant, which is where 51% of people are,
Mm.
that's the upper left. So that's, oh yeah, that's high motivation. We can, yeah, it's high motivation and low self confidence. The worst thing you can do as a starting place there is to set a really lofty goal. It's like saying, I'm going to start going to the gym. And so my first day at the gym, I'm going to just bench press at my max and squat at my max and be there for 4 hours. You're going to hurt yourself and you're not going to go back, right?
Mm.
As opposed to just, oh, you know what? I'm just going to go to the gym. For some people, it's so hard to go to the gym. So your starting place might be, I'm just going to walk in the building, right? Because I've had clients where it's like, oh, I'm just going to sit in the same room as the Peloton. Then I'm going to get on the bike, but I'm not going to do anything, right? But it might be, then you're like, oh, I'm just going to learn the mechanics before I add weight. And so when you're building confidence, the most important thing is to be successful,
Yeah.
right? And so when you want to start using your phone less and you're overwhelmed, the most important thing to do is choose an experiment that will work for you in your life that you can guarantee you're going to be successful at.
Yeah.
Can I turn my ringer off for 1 minute?
Yeah.
Can I put the phone down and go for a walk outside for no more than 5 minutes down to the end of the block and back?
Yeah.
When I sit at the kitchen table with my device, okay, it still needs to be on the table. Can I turn it upside down?
Mm.
Then, I can do that for 3 or 4 days. Okay, I can turn it upside down and not pick it up for a minute. Can I move it to a shelf? Can I turn it off? Right? And it's about, and the more you are successful at these little experiments, the more self-confidence you're going to have to start doing bigger and bigger. Now, the
Yeah.
other thing we've learned is time of day is really important.
Yeah.
People feel like during the week, people are most ready or they feel the strongest around 11 a.m. and between like 5 and 8 p.m. People feel most overwhelmed in the afternoon and late at night. So
Okay.
do not try your experiment. If you're overwhelmed, do not try your experiment in the afternoon or late at night. Try
Okay.
it when you're strong, right? In the morning or, after work, because you want to
So,
guarantee you're going to be successful.
so the best time of day is 11 a.m. in the morning till what time?
Well, it's kind of like, so what we're seeing from the data is the mornings, mid morning is when
Yeah.
people feel very ready.
Yeah.
And after work, but like before bed, people feel very ready. People feel very overwhelmed in the afternoon. So let's say two
Gotcha.
to four, late at night. And they generally feel very overwhelmed all day on Friday.
Okay.
So it's like if you're like just starting out and you're feeling overwhelmed, you want to build your confidence, kind of like focus your experiments after work. Be gentle to yourself in the afternoon and evening and forget about Friday.
Oh, that's great advice.
Yeah. And then the other thing worth mentioning is that Sunday is the strongest ready day. So your strategy for the week is basically you sit down Sunday on your
Yeah.
own with your partner, with your kids. What are the interventions we're going to try during the week? Plan for like around dinner time before bed for the most part, maybe a little bit in the morning. If you're feeling like you're in the ready quadrant where you have already some solid confidence, then what you want to do is whatever you're doing that's working, push it 10%.
Mm,
See how that goes for you.
that's
And that's
great
what we're
advice.
finding works.
That's where I found I sat in the ready quadrant where motivation is high, the confidence level is high,
Yeah,
and you know it's important and you're ready to make bold moves. You might just need to structure a game plan to maximize your momentum. I know it's important, and I do feel like I've got the
right.
drive and motivation to make it happen. It's just, oh, what's
Well,
the
you've done it before too, right? Like if you're someone who's like, I've quit smoking, I've started going to the gym, like I know how to change my habits. I've done this before. I know I can do this. I just
yeah,
need a plan and a strategy and structure it, and I'll just do it.
yeah,
Great. So then you kind of whatever's working, you push it 10%,
yeah.
and you might need some additional strategies on choosing the right place for interventions, and then maybe a little bit of accountability support.
Mm. That's great. Really great advice. You've essentially answered my two questions now that, I wanted to talk to you about the matrix and how that works. So what I'm hearing then, resilience to you means your ability to be confident. Confidence matters more than willpower.
Yeah, self-confidence. It's not like puffed up.
Yeah,
Um, it's not like I'm the greatest when we say confidence. It's self-confidence. It's like I can do this. I have the ability to do this. I've proven to myself I'm able to do this. And and that can also mean I know my limits.
yes,
I know what works for me and how to set myself up for success. I
yeah,
know that it's not always going to be easy and sometimes I'm going to fail, but that's just a data point that I'll collect for next time. So
yeah.
kind of so those are the pieces that kind of fit into that. Let's call it like evolving and learning self-confidence.
I love that data collection along the way because, we learn what we do want, we learn what we don't want. And
Hmm.
rather than, when we learn what we don't want and what's not working, rather than feeling down about it or defeated, it's just great data collection in this world of polarity that we live in anyway, up, down,
Hmm.
right, left, good and bad. To experience despair is to truly be able to experience joy.
Hmm.
Yeah. So knowing it's about balance, it's about regulation and you can do this, but yeah, I know my limits as well. And figuring out what that means to you and coming off constantly being stimulated in the digital world is comparing yourself less to others as well.
Yeah, I think that's quite it's all a good summary. I mean, I think the other piece would be just that we're all unique. We all have our own, um, the places we live, the people we live with, the jobs that we do, how we get to our jobs, what we do for fun, and our relationships with our devices are also kind of individual and unique. And so, what worked for someone else might not work for you. And so, just take the time to figure out what habits and patterns work with your lifestyle, right? Some people say, I come home and I'll put my phone on the shelf. Well, your house might not have a shelf, you know, I
Yeah.
put mine in the drawer.
Yeah.
Okay, right? Like people, I'm just so great to get advice from others, but if you want it to stick, you have to have it work with your life.
Yes. What changed the most about your life when you really started to nail this for yourself?
My the So here's the thing that I love. So I love music. I have very curious ears,
Yes.
and I know that not using the phone first thing in the morning is really important for me to get my day started off right. Like if I get out of bed and like I'm on the phone before I've like had a glass of water, then all of a sudden like the switches start to fly that all the news and the dopamine, it just like it
Yeah.
hijacks your brain from the first right get-go. And the phone was where the music was,
Yeah.
right? Um, so I bought myself like a very high resolution music player and a nice pair of headphones. So the detail of the sound just kind of ignites my brain. And so when
Yeah.
I get up in the morning, when I make myself coffee and I'm up before everyone else is up, I have that on in the kitchen, and that is just really getting my day started in a positive way. And so just
Yeah.
I to historically that would have just been, oh, I like listening to music, but
Mm.
now I know that that actually fires up my brain in a particular way that will change the trajectory of my whole
Yes.
day.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I have very similar rituals of how on the days when I really put some sound meditation on, it clears the room, it clears my healing space where I see clients. But music's a huge part of my life. I used to be a singer when I was much younger,
Oh
and
yeah.
I just love, yeah, but the healing power of music as well. A certain Spotify heart chakra track might really suit the energy of the day as I'm, helping clients with kinesiology. But especially in the morning, just that vibration, music and sound can really set up an elevated mindset, the higher frequency emotions that we can have more access to, like love, joy, compassion, forgiveness, resilience, rather than lower frequency emotions of fear, worry, shame, anger, guilt. I feel music and the vibration really allows us to, see things from that higher perspective, and where we're more connected to a higher source and self-belief, and we can have that bird's eye perspective on our day and lives and situations.
Beautifully put.
Yeah, thank you. Well, another question, which I think, all of this is good and all of this makes sense, but how do we integrate this into our busy lives as professionals? So you blend systems thinking, solution focused techniques, and executive function strategies in your coaching. And for my listeners who are high achievers, CEOs, founders, and people even managing chronic conditions while also trying to perform at work, the idea of digital balance can feel impossible. They need their phones for work and they need to be responsive. They're managing health appointments and medications and teams all from the same device. What are three practical strategies someone could implement this week to start creating healthier boundaries, but without sacrificing their productivity or ability to manage their health? And how do we understand that digital balance isn't about doing less? It's about what matters most with more focus and clarity.
Right. So I think the first thing to say is there is a fallacy that being always on equates with productivity and performance,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm a strategist. I need to do, I need quiet time to get the strategic work done without
Yeah.
distractions, without notifications. And, that works for everybody up and down the line, right? Because if you're constantly checking email and switching to notifications and all of this info, your brain can't context switch it. It can't truly multitask. So, um, once you accept that as a manager or as a team member, then you can start structuring for it,
Exactly.
and you can start working with the people around you to structure that. So determining what's appropriate for you in your own context, but then setting those expectations with your peers and allowing them to set those expectations with you as well. Now, there might need to be negotiation, of course, but just setting those things up. The
That's
second
great.
thing, yeah, so
Yeah.
that's really important. And high performance people need downtime too,
Yeah.
right? And so, certainly if you're using your phone after 11 p.m., you're not going to have as good a night's sleep,
No.
and your next day is not going to be as great.
Yeah.
So, if you want to invest in your own performance, then you need to create some limits so that, or one needs to create some limits so that, they'll have the longevity with the work that they want to do. And then I think also making time for non-work activities, family,
Yes.
hobbies, physical health.
Yeah.
These things help keep us balanced. And
Yeah.
that's really important because if you're an executive, you need to have perspective and you need to be strong mentally and physically.
Yeah.
And so carving out the time to make that happen is actually a responsibility.
It needs to be scheduled in the diary because it's so easy to lose touch with. Like, it makes sense why we need that, but there's so many things that, lead to packed up diaries that are just so full, and we make so many excuses of why we needed to work that sixth or seventh day this week. And, I fall into that trap all of the time. But I also absolutely know when I've got full days of reflection and downtime, I'm just so much more inspired and creative, and I can come up with much more amazing, innovative solutions. Yeah, with that balance. So it has to be scheduled in. So, even with my podcasting, because that's such a different thing that I do as opposed to when I'm one on one with my clients, and then also the strategy around what I'm building in the business with new streams of revenue and new ways to work with people, I stack. So if I've got
Mm-hmm.
podcasts, I'll try and do
That's right.
multiple ones in the morning, but then I know I really need some downtime in the afternoon because this is a lot of focus and output.
Oh yeah. And like there's a lot of busy work out there too, right? I mean, there are things that feel urgent but aren't important.
Yeah.
So you're just spending all this time doing things that feel like, oh, this needs to be done right away. But if it's not important, you're just wasting that energy and focus.
Yes. Yes. And we can become confused there as to what's not actually important, but it feels
Correct.
urgent. How do we decipher that? What's the trick?
There is there's a 2 by 2 matrix called the Eisenhower matrix,
Yeah.
where it's urgency versus important.
Yeah.
And so you have these four types. There's things that are urgent and important, do those right away. Then you have the things that you have are um, urgent and not important. Those are distractions. Then you have things that are not urgent and not important. Forget about those. And then you have the things that are not urgent and important. Those are the ones that you need to schedule because they're not on fire. But if you don't pay attention to them, then they slowly become urgent and important. So you got to manage those. I think that
Yeah.
also is the Stephen Covey time management matrix also. So you could look up either of those in Google Images. There's a
Yeah.
zillion of them.
Yeah. I've definitely seen this matrix before now that you say it out loud.
Yeah. So you
Um,
go and you kind of just get a piece of paper and you make a 2 by 2 urgency importance and you have your to-do list on one side and then
yeah.
you just drop everything in. And you're like, okay, so here's my plan of what I do today. Everything that's urgency important, and then I'm calendarize everything else, and then you go through the not urgent. Then you know what I mean. You just
Yeah. And
prioritize.
the great thing about that grid is from there, you can identify what are the three most important tasks for me to just do.
Right. Right now.
Yeah.
And then what's all the garbage that's wasting my time and filter it out or delegate it.
Love it. Love it. This is so amazing. And I do also know that on your website, you have coaches.
Yeah, so what we're trying to do offline now is, in addition to a book and a matrix, is looking to be the largest directory of therapists, coaches, social workers, kinesiologists, dietitians like yourself, anybody that wants to support people as they move towards digital balance. We have over 100 different areas that are direct or comorbid with screen related issues,
Yep.
very, very specific. So, ADHD and screen related issues, relationship stress, dating, rejection, all kinds of stuff. And
Yeah.
so people can go, coaches, and they can register themselves on the site. Right now, we've
Yeah.
got a free year for anyone that registers, and and then all the clients come directly to them. The purpose here is to um, give them an opportunity in a gig economy world to get more direct clients. That's the community that we're looking to build, and
Great.
yeah, any attention that you can draw and invite your peers to join the site, we would
Yeah.
truly love that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a proud member of your site as a kinesiologist, and thank you for inviting me. And let's absolutely spread the word. So, where can people find you? Your website is offline.now.
That's the URL,
Yes.
offline.now. And you can come and you can take the assessment, you can buy the book, you can read lots of blog posts, including yours, Amanda. We love to invite members of our community to post. And then you can go and look through our directory, our growing directory of therapists and coaches, and find someone that sounds interesting and make contact with them. Equally, if you're a therapist or a coach, you can come and
Yeah.
click join and just register yourself.
Oh, beautiful. Eli, what a wonderful conversation. You've helped so many people, just with what we've chatted about today. I know a lot of people are going to get so much out of it. I know I did. You've inspired me to just make baby steps to overwhelming tasks that I've just left for years. I've been wanting to start to read my books more, and I'm going to start now in tiny little baby steps.
Thanks
Um,
so much for your time. No, it's lovely, and I'm really glad you reached out. You are our first international member on the site and
oh,
our first
cool.
kinesiologist, and that we will not be forgetting that. Thank you so much.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Thank you, Eli. And everybody remember that when you bend like bamboo, you can believe in the power of flexibility and adaptability. So you can reimagine what is possible. And thank you again, Eli.
Take care. Bye now.
Thanks for listening to the Bend Like Bamboo podcast. If this conversation resonated, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're ready to go deeper, whether you're managing chronic symptoms, leading through burnout, or seeking guidance and community, I'd love to welcome you into the Bend Like Bamboo family. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'm here to support you wherever you are right now. Book a clarity chat with me and let's just talk about what's happening in your body, your work, and your life. All the links to join our community and also how to get in touch with our guests are in the show notes. Remember, with a flexible mindset, we can adapt, transform our story, and reimagine what's possible. I'll see you next time.